Welcome to ISS Virtual Learning Day. Yeah. Today's session, I'll be talking about the career development program for software developers, especially in full stack. Let me go back to the very 20 years ago, where how do we define a software developer? Back then, software developers are actually very specialized. Some of them are actually doing front end. Some of them are doing backend, and there are actually database developers who are doing store procedures and stuff like that. Yeah. So then today's world is slightly different. If you actually flip the newspaper today or look for a job in any portal, you come across a word called full stack. Yeah. So what is basically a full stack developer or engineer? So back to the origin of the technology spec first. So when you talk about stack, a tech spec is basically a complete set of technologies that is being made out of a software or commercial software or platform. Yeah. So full stack developer, they are actually need to be proficient in both front end, back end technologies and languages, as well as all the cloud related deployment and etc. Yeah, they also learn to be well versed in both understanding the requirements that is given by the product owners or the business analysts, and they also have a leg into basically advise user experience about the app itself or the screens and stuff like that. So they can basically tell the business the product owners that if you do this, it will be slightly better than what, if you follow the traditional way of doing it. So basically, they are actually well equipped to get hands-on and also give consultancy to the strategy of the product, that is whether it's a SaaS product or it's a PaaS product or it's a install-based product. Okay. So then, what should a full stack developer skill set will be like? So they must be able to handle web framework user interface. They also have to make sure that the user interface that they actually come up with is actually complied to certain user experience or usability. And because they need to handle the backend, right? So they have to understand a bit of the database, the data modeling, RDBMS, some newer technologies, database like NoSQL. And after all, when they develop this app, they have to deploy it to the cloud. So they have to actually get exposure to the cloud providers. It could be Azure, AWS, and back then, when all these guys who actually attended some courses out there or have, in fact, they originated from a computer science degree and stuff like that, they actually have attended network topologies. So all those routers, load balancers, firewall, all this kind of stuff, they should actually have some exposure and some knowledge about it. And then how do they design some architecture stuff that they basically place it under business logics and stuff like that, and design APIs that can be called from the front end. Lastly, of course, software developers not only develop, but they have to actually test their programs, or they have to perform unit testing or simple functional testing on top of the apps that they actually develop. Yeah. So then the very important part that as a software developer, they actually also need to be very good in what they do, where they actually keep their source code. So they basically need to, in fact, use SCM, a software control management system. So the current famous ones are actually the GitLab, GitHub, and all this. So then this will actually allow them to move on to another skill set, which is actually DevOps, so that they can configure their CI/CD pipelines and stuff like that. Okay. So then the full stack developer salaries in Singapore, which are extracted from Indeed, is actually average 6,000 per month. If you look at the most of the job posting that is around for full stack developers, if you look at C, which is a gaming company, it is actually hiring for 10,000. Grab is around 9,000 plus, and insurance companies are hiring around 7 plus. And GovTech itself, which is the newer age of government's IDA or IMDA, is actually hiring around 6 plus. Okay. So what is the benefit of hiring a full stack developer into your company? Yeah. they are foresighted. So when I say they are foresighted, means that they are someone that actually can advise you end to end, and it are very versatile. They are very agile as it is as well. So then in terms of broad experience, it depends. If it's a junior full stack developer, likely he needs to get mentorship for a much more experienced one. But if software engineers that used to be in a specialized area that transition to a full stack role, they have broader experience. So because they have done many areas, so they can actually mentor or advise the product directions or in terms of technical. And when you train these full stack developers, they have bigger pictures. So back then, 20 years ago, I was actually a Java backend guy. Anything to do with everything to do with the front end is not my issue, right? So I do not know how they pass the data over and stuff like that. And when I do a select statement, I do not know whether I basically create a deadlock or full table scan and stuff like that. I have no nuts about all this, right? So, but when you hire this guy, it's actually an investment. You slowly get them to involve in certain areas, and they have a bigger picture of your system. So you eventually don't need to hire a specialist to actually diagnose or troubleshoot your system. And with this skill set, there's another thing that you have to look into. So a lot of people become obsolete or dinosaur when they work on a project, right? So then, as you know, the technology moves very fast. Today it can be JavaScript, tomorrow it can be Java, and so forth and so forth, right? So within when you're hiring full stack, they actually touch on a lot of areas in a way that you actually have a chance to upgrade your employees as well. So the upgradation is also a benefit for your organization. So basically, you can swap out a technology, replace Java with Python because Python has AI and stuff like that. So that's why you can retain your employees where they get to upgrade their skills and they get to learn while they're on job. So basically, all-inclusive work, yeah. So basically, it's everything. Some of you will ask me, say, "Oh, Kenneth, it looks like it's this job scope as a full stack is basically everything, yeah." And the pay itself is pretty good, but then sort of that you have to do everything from end to end. Yeah, basically this role is actually created for developers that does everything on the product. So but you have to look at the long term. If you equip him with this skill set, so his turnaround of troubleshooting production issues or environment issues will be a lot more efficient and faster. Yeah, and of course, to the employer, there's one benefit is actually budget friendly. So you don't need to hire 3 developers into a specific functionality. So you have one guy who does end to end now. Okay, and of course, the results of your delivery of your product will be as best lah. Yeah. And in order to have embedded him with front, back, and database, cloud, and etc., he has actually embedded the ownership of the product. So you bring him to a situation whereby he thinks that I can help in all areas. I have the ownership. It's not that he's trying to say that I'm only versed in backend. I'm not going to advise on the front end or the database or the cloud deployment. So basically, he's embedded with the ownership within the team. Yeah. So it's easier to work with this guy rather than the segregation of different specialization. Okay. So ISS offers a full stack developer program. The details of the program is it breaks into 4 modules. Yeah, the 4 modules starts from bottom to up. Every module is actually 10 days. So the first module is basically the client side foundation. I will deep dive into the details of the modules later on. And the second module is basically the server side foundation. The third module is the persistence, and the last one is basically security and messaging. The first 2 module the third and fourth module has prerequisite. So you need to basically at least finish the client and server side module before you can move on to the third and fourth module. So optional if, let's say, a career switcher or employee would like to actually have mentorship and have their companies being sponsored, they can opt in for the practicum, a 4 months practicum. So I will go into the 4 months practicum. What is it about? Like I just briefly explain to you is basically there's mentorship from the lecturers, and there will be progress tracking. There will be some hands-on stuff that we work together to make sure that it delivers the company's project or product. Okay, so once you have finished all the 4 modules and the optional practicum, 4 months practicum, you'll be entitled with the certificate of a full stack developer by ISS. Okay, so the target audience of this program, basically the career switcher, university graduates who are looking for a development job, the parents who actually left workforce and then would like to return as an individual. Then individual that is interested on building their own minimal valuable products. And lastly, professionals and starter who already in the industry would like to switch to this job profile. Okay, so from the past, we have actually mom that who actually left the workforce and then came to our course and then we try to rejoin the digital workforce. So it's possible for a return to work for an individual. Okay. The details of the curriculum. Let's talk about the entire curriculums that covers the whole 4 modules. On the front end, the candidates will be learning the web framework called Angular, and of course the HTML5, CSS, styling, and the core language which is used by Angular, which is the TypeScript. So in this tier, they will be writing their web application. With this skill set, you can even write a hybrid mobile. So there's a lot of framework out there called Ionic, React Native, and stuff like that. So it's very similar. And then on the server side, which is the backend tier, the candidates will be learning Node.js, TypeScript, JavaScript. That's how the middleware is being crafted, where they connect to the database and stuff like that. Then the backend database will be, the data storage will be RDBMS, MySQL, and NoSQL, MongoDB. There's a bit of Firebase that being introduced as well. Okay. Okay. So the details of of a particular segment of the foundation of the modules will be, like I said, this is a lot more detailed and elaborative. So the candidates will be equipped with knowledge of HTML5, TypeScript, how does the HTTP protocol works, and then how do you create web application using Angular, and how do you basically modularize your application in component way, service, and stuff like that? How do you perform form population, validation? How do you pass values between forms and components, which is the client-side communication? And also, how do you basically route? So there's pages to pages needs to be moved from one end to another end, right? So how do you perform client-side routing? And lastly, when you collected data on the form, you need to actually basically propagate the data or send the data to the backend. So we'll be also teaching you how do you perform a HTTP client invocation call to the backend. And lastly, there's 2 types of submission of data to the backend. There's actually the promised way or the observable way. So all these are actually taught in this program. And let's look at the server-side module. Server-side module will have basically, you'll be writing your server-side, the endpoints, the port listening where all the endpoints are exposed. It takes in all the data from the front end as JSON and stuff like that. And then you'll be writing your RESTful API documentation, and how do you handle error codes. All these are written in TypeScript and JavaScript. Okay, and lastly, once you capture the data, how do you actually basically perform a database operation or node SQL operation? Okay. Right, sorry. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so the third module will be about persistence and analytics. We'll be teaching you the fundamental of CRUD, and then how do you perform search on both type of database, the RDBMS and the NoSQL. We will also teach you how to model certain database relationship, the cardinality, one to many, many to many, and how is it versus the RDBMS versus the NoSQL. And the last module will be security and notification. We'll be showcasing some of the communication between APIs. How do you create a chat? How do you create a chat application? How do you secure your application using authentication guard? How do you use JWT to basically create authentication system within your app and stuff like that? All this will be covered on the fourth module. Okay. So basically, remember that there is a, sorry. Okay, the streaming is a bit, okay. So basically, there is another section, the optional, which is the 4 months practicum, right? So the 4 months practicums will cover 5 workshops depending on the participants' need. What we will do is during the 4 modules, we will be actually sending out a form that the participant needs to actually fill up. When they fill up, they actually fill out what they want to learn. So during the time, every workshop that we is a separate workshop. It's a 5 separate workshop out of the main program, the main 4 modules program. The instructor or the lecturer will justify which are the most famous wanted workshop that is requested by the candidates. We will actually host a 2-3 hours workshop for them. So for example, for the past, we have actually even though the program is actually in JavaScript, Node.js, but then some of us actually a Java coder as well. So some candidates actually ask for Spring Boot, Spring Framework, and then some candidates ask for a bit of very mild DevOps related stuff like Docker, Kubernetes, and there's even people ask for workshop that related to cloud deployment. Yeah, so we will actually prepare those workshops, and then we will actually invite the candidates to come back for 2-3 hours to actually go through. I mean, we will go through with them the workshop, and it's a hands-on workshop, so they get to experience how things works when they basically log into AWS or Google Cloud, and then create their own instance and all this kind of stuff, or spin off their Docker images and stuff like that. So then every fortnight, we will be actually checking on the candidates itself. And we will basically check on their progress, and they have to show us their progress. And if let's say they are basically stuck with their issues, they basically will upfront communicate with us. So during the meetup, we will actually solve their issues or try to troubleshoot with them, or give them advice how to go how to tackle problems that they're basically stuck on and stuff like that. So during this mentorship, they are basically working on their company's project. So some organizations do not allow us to know very detailed of their products, because some are new products. Example, the banks and some startup, they don't want the lecturers to know that what they're building. So they basically communicate with their the participant or the candidates, that they tell the candidates that try not to leak out information that is confidential. So they will just zoom into a very specific technical topics that they are stuck on. So yeah, then we actually actively communicate through messengers. So it depends on the organization as well. Most of the organization allows to use Slack, or some of them use Microsoft Teams and stuff like that. So it depends on the organization. So yeah, okay. Basically, before you get into this course, in fact, we have actually a prerequisite. The candidate has to attend online course that consists of 3 modules. Yeah, so then they have to collect badges. So before they collect badges, during it is actually on your own target. You basically can attend these courses. It's actually 9 hours of HTML, 15 hours of CSS, and 30 hours of JavaScript from Code Academy. Yeah, so it's on your target, on your own basis. So you can take 2 months to basically attend all these 3 courses. We have to actually take in this as a prerequisite requirement. So once you have collected all these badges, we will follow up with the assessment. Yeah, so then we will give you a test. Yeah, with a test, and then the test is actually also online. The candidates have to actually sit in for a pre-entry test, which is basically that's after the Code Academy badges. Then the candidate has to sit in for a 60-minute test. The question of the test is basically all the topics that you have learned with certain scenarios inside. So whatever you have learned from Code Academy, the questions that we are giving out is basically it's a written short answer test. The passing grade for this pre-entry test is actually a 70 marks, and then is conducted online. Yeah, so this is the test. Okay. So our past candidates who actually came to our course actually has joined some of the I won't flash out the logos and stuff like that lah. But some of them actually joined the IoT companies. There is actually a candidate joined a door lock is a smart door lock company that funded by Singtel. Then there is actually a candidate who joined our course, actually hired by this company, a startup company that does IoT device for machines, factory machines. If you guys actually have a device that they're actually wearing around, which is called Fitbit, right? So the device is actually Fitbit for factory machines. So it's basically the candidate joins the company. Basically, they develop a dashboard to find out the health of a machines, a specific machines that is basically going to break down or there's parts needs to be replaced. Then there is quite a number of them are from finance. The government guys, there's a candidate who actually joined LTA, then who does, I think, continue on doing the gantry, the satellite gantry. Yep. So then, an insurance company and healthcare. There's this Jagami guy. There's this candidate who actually joined Jagami. So it basically a startup that they take care of elderly, and then they transport medicine to the elderly homes and stuff like that. It's a service, and there's a lot of candidates who joined the last mile services. So those who deliver foods and all this kind of stuff, I don't know, because I think it's a trend. Most of the candidates who join our course seems to, in fact, besides the finance and government, most of them actually join startup and small, medium enterprises. Yeah. So luckily, this is a trend. Yeah. Okay. So basically, I'm about to at the end of the slides. Yeah. So we can actually. Let's get on. Let's see whether we have any questions on this program, and I can basically. So sorry, the clicker just jumped. Yeah. So I can basically take Q&A. We can in fact take a longer Q&A for this program. I try my best to answer your question. Okay. Okay. So there's already 5. Okay, so there's already 5 questions that's posted. Okay, so let me go through one by one. So there's a question called how microservices is related to full stack developer role. So if you look at it, microservices is actually an architecture. Yeah, microservices is to solve monolithic architecture issues. So back then, very traditional. 20 years ago, most of the system that is designed is actually monolithic. So when we call monolithic, it's elephant size. Monolithic has a lot of drawbacks, but of course, microservices also have drawbacks. Yeah. So then, if you are a full stack guy, eventually you're being exposing to newer way of doing things. So for them to basically to adopt microservices is very natural. Yeah. So for example, giving you an example, look at Netflix. They move from monolithic to microservices, and then they have various of teams of doing different things, and most of their developers are actually full stack. And every services that they provide on their entire ecosystem is basically different technology. So it make more sense. So because the reason for going forward for microservice is actually independent versioning and independent that technologies. Yeah. So I hope that answer your question. Okay. So is there any entrance tests or exam to certain modules can be skipped? Yeah. So the first two module, which is the server side and client side, you can skip if you have already have certain things to, but we will give you some tests that for you cannot skip the third and fourth module. You basically can skip the first and second if you have the prerequisite. And then we will give you a certain entrance test as well to test you whether how well you actually know about the, if let's say you're skipping client side, for example, we will try to give you some tests so to find out whether are you really good in client side so you can skip all the way to server side and vice versa. You only can, you basically can switch between two modules for the first and second. The third and fourth it requires the first and second. So you can't basically skip the third and fourth. Can anyone request, okay, so there's a question here. Can anyone request to attend all 5 workshops? Okay, so I really, can anyone request to attend, what do you mean by that? Okay, so there's only, okay. So so you are saying that the workshops that is in the practicum level, in the practicum stage, right? Yeah, okay, so it's mandatory for the participant to attend the 5 workshop. Yeah, so because they are sponsored by the employers, so then they have to actually attend the 5 workshop. Is mandatory. The attendance and is taken during the 5 workshop. So sorry for that. So the question is, these prerequisite courses are different from what shared in the previous session, that the session got us enrolled in Coursera instead of Code Academy. I think there's some changes on that. Yeah, so we actually switched to Code Academy now. Yeah, so we will stick on Code Academy. Okay, so okay, yeah, this question from Steve. Will message queue and event-driven architecture be included in the program? No. But you can basically request this topic as a workshop. We will actually go through with you during the workshop, or you can basically ask us and we will go through with you during the meetup. Yeah, the fortnight meetup, we will actually teach you how to do event-driven architecture. Yeah, in fact, event-driven architecture is nothing but just RabbitMQ communicate between microservices or services. Yeah, there's a few ways to do it, ESB and stuff like that. Okay. So, okay, I've answered. FT Chong, do we need to employ with a company to enroll this PC program? You need to get a sponsor, yes. Yeah. I think you have to, if you want to get more details, you can contact our career service for this. They likely have a better idea how is for you to actually get sponsored by the employers. Okay, is this program suitable for a person who is not sponsored by a company but wants to break into software development? Yes, definitely. But then you will be attending the 4 modules. I'm answering to Josh. So he's asking if this program is suitable for a person who is not sponsored by a company and then but wants to break into a software development career. Yeah, basically you can attend the 4 modules. Yeah, you can attend the 4 modules, but you won't get the practicum, the 4 months practicum, because you are not sponsored. So it's definitely okay for you to enroll this as a switching to career, software development career. Okay, so there's a question. Is there any samples of entry test question? So sorry, there's no sample test question. Okay, wow, okay. So Phok Ming, in earlier session related to full stack TCP, we are given account to Coursera. Oh, I think the oh, yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, what are the subsidies available? Okay, this one okay, so there's a question. What are the subsidies available for attending the courses on Code Academy? I have to come back to you for this. Yeah, this question I don't have answer yet. I will check and come back to you. So do you have anything on a mobile app development? Yes, so during the workshop, right, and the meetup, if we will actually walk you through certain mobile app development. So like the past candidates, right, he wanted to know a bit about how to do things with Ionic. So then we actually held a workshop for him. I mean, for the whole group of people that attend the course. At first, we will basically show him show them how to do it in the very fundamental way first. Then subsequently, when we meet up, he has more questions. We will actually assist him. Yeah, yeah. So we actually does a hybrid workshop, hybrid mobile workshop. Is this course for career switcher apply PCP as individual? So it's for career switcher, but if you apply PCP, you need to go through a company. So likely this question is you might want to check with our career service. Okay, so to answer the question, will there be a hands-on activities and practices on cyber security attack for the security module? The answer is basically yes. It's very basic. It's actually the 10 OVOPs vulnerability for web application. So it won't be in a detailed way where you use Kali Linux to pen test and all this, but it's just to showcase to you what are the very 10 famous attacks that people does on the web application. Yeah, the top 10. Okay, Cynthia, for the 4 modules, are they conducted in single sketch over the? Okay, it basically depends, yeah. Sometimes we will have a week break or 2-week break. Sometimes it will go one shot. Yeah, it really depends. But you can basically the first and second module you can basically opt in for the next month, or if let's say there's available course being posted and stuff like that. So the first and second one is quite flexible. You can take the first one and then delay for a few months, then take the second one. So yeah, because there's no prerequisite. But then the third and fourth one is advisable to take it on after you have passed the second module. So you basically have a continuity lah. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so the question is, if I started PCP without a sponsor, so far we always start PCP with a sponsor. So I don't really know, but you have to ask our career service for this. Most of the time when we start this course, the candidates already have a sponsor. Yeah, therefore you can check. Yeah, you definitely need a sponsor to attend the 4 months practicum, because you'll be doing the sponsors or the employers project. Yeah, so the programming language that is used in this course is TypeScript, JavaScript. TypeScript and JavaScript. I mean, I don't consider HTML and CSS as programming language. They are just scripting language. The main programming language is actually TypeScript and JavaScript. So those of you who actually are on Java programming, in order for you to transition to TypeScript is quite easy. And then there's a bit of learning curve for the Java developers or .NET developers to move to JavaScript. Because as you know, the JavaScript is functional. It's not object-oriented. So there's a bit of transition and learning curve there. But it's fine. You can handle one. Trust me. What are some things consider making a career switch to a tech-related role coming from zero background? Okay. Okay, so okay, my advice to you is basically if you are a zero background tech person, yeah, and you want to switch to software development, it's possible. It's possible. So most of during the class there is actually a few types of people. Those that actually are a career switcher, that they are actually previously a nurse, a lawyer, or accountant, or whatever. The other group is basically they already have engineering background. Yeah, I will during my class I will pay more attention to the zero background people. Yeah, and less attention to the engineering background people. It's not that because I don't care about the engineering background people, but they have already have the fundamentals. So honestly to tell you that it's tough, but is doable. It's possible. We have a marketing lady who actually worked in Singtel, actually switched to Igloo Home. So like I said, the door smart door product, right? So she has zero background of programming. So she managed to skim through and then get a job. She get a job from another company first before she moved to Igloo Home. So it's possible, but there's a lot of hard work that you need to put in yourself during this course lah. So it's possible. Yeah, and then you have to leech upon us, the instructor, which is considered your mentor, and also yeah, you have to so there's certain candidates they are quite good in leeching on us, whereby they basically ask us for mentorship so that they can actually progress better than those with engineering background. So it's possible. Yeah, so there's a question is, how is this course different from graduate diploma in system analyst? Could that grad dip be recommended for people who know background in tech to the PCP? I don't know how to answer this, but I will get back to you. Yeah, I will get back to you on this. All right. If let's say there's no question, basically, thank you for attending my session here. On the screen, there's actually a QR code. Please actually flash the QR code and give us feedback on this session. Thank you very much.